is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. I do not gamble, but bet on me. Tell them that's life, yeah, it's still la vie. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier Podcast. It's your boy, Mac. Joining me today is my good friend, Mikey McNuggets of Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. How's it going, man?
Hey, we need the Cavs so badly to start the season up because as it stands on 4:05 Wednesday afternoon, the Guardians are down 0-2. The Browns are a dumpster fire. We need some excitement. And if we're going to have to watch sports, they at least need to be fun. And I have the utmost optimism that this Cavs team this year, will they win the championship? Probably not, but they're going to be a really fun brand of basketball in Cleveland for 82 games and hopefully a long postseason run too.
I'm going to do something that I absolutely never do on this podcast, and I'm going to start off by talking about something else than the Cavaliers, and you brought them up. It's the Guardians, man.
Okay.
I am by no means a Guardians fan, but I cannot help but root against the damn Yankees. I just can't stand them anytime I see them, and watching that last game, I'm just thinking to myself, you guys are loading the bases so frequently that you're showing that the Yankees are not impossible to generate offense on. You just got to capitalize and score when you got runners in position. I don't know.
It's crazy because the games have been close. Like both games haven't been a blowout, but they've never felt close. And the Guardians have had chances, and whenever they have a chance, it seems like Austin Hedges or Andres Jimenez is at the plate. And even and throw Jose and Naylor in there too, because they both have been well below, and they've played well below expectations of what the Guardians need to win this series. And I'm not sure if it's just the lights have been too bright, not to steal a phrase from Jarrett Allen, to bring it back to the Cavs. And maybe they'll play better in these next 3 games here in Cleveland, but they made some really sloppy mistakes, Mac, that they didn't make at all during the regular season. And this team got here because of base running and defense and being disciplined at the plate. And through the first 2 games, it's no surprise they're down 0-2 because their base running has been okay. Their defense has been piss poor, and their plate discipline has been whatever's piss poor that you could say on this podcast. I'm not sure what you can and can't say. It's worse than that. So the threes that have got them here have abandoned them for the first 2 games, and hopefully they find it again tonight. First pitch is in about an hour, so.
Hey, I can't wait to watch it. Again, I am by no means a Guardians fan, but they're must watch right now. I'm hoping that Jose and company get back on track and get in that win column tonight. That said, the Cavaliers, that's why we're all here. That's what our listeners listen to us for. And I have to ask you right off the bat, Kenny Atkinson, when we first got the news that he took over, we heard this and that about increased pace, about upping the 3-point attempts, about putting the ball in Evan Mobley's hands. And so far throughout preseason, as we have one more preseason game to finish off the exhibition slate tomorrow against I'm drawing a blank here already, but we have another game here tomorrow.
No idea.
Yeah, we have another game tomorrow, and it's against Chicago and Lonzo Ball. Yeah, go figure right there. I'm just tripping already, but I can't wait to see Lonzo back out there if he plays. But moreover, we've heard all these different things about all the types of offensive differences that Kenny Atkinson is going to bring to the table as a juxtaposition to what we saw under JB Bickerstaff over the past couple of seasons. Now, again, in these last couple of preseason games, I think we've taken away a little bit of just what we can expect during the regular season, just based upon what you saw last night, for instance. Are you feeling more confident about the Cavaliers offense heading into the 2024-25 season?
Yeah, I want to go back to go forward real quick. When
Sure.
it was down to Borrego and Atkinson, like I planted my flag in the Borrego camp, like hand up. That was the guy I thought was the best fit to utilize the talent already on the roster, because Kobe made it pretty clear they weren't going to change the roster. The roster was what it was, and they wanted to bring in a coach to maximize the core four and the surrounding pieces. And I thought Borrego's system fit a little bit better, but it was 1A and 1B. Like, I thought they were similar coaches. They both deserved a second chance to be a head coach. They both have more of an offensive background. But after talking to Kenny, and I've had 3 one-on-one conversations with him, after
Good work, by the
watching
way.
a couple of preseason games we've been able to see, after reading all the reports at a training camp at IMG from the reporters who were down there covering it every day, and shout out to the guys who made the trip. I don't remember there ever being that many beat reporters at training camp day in and day out in the last couple of years, and I'm not sure if it's Kenny's more open approach to the media, which allows them to do that as opposed to JB's, I'm not really going to give you anything. So there's 100 variables that play into this, Matt. But yeah, I'm pretty confident this offense is going to be electric. And even if it's not necessarily dynamic in the extent of they're scoring 125, 130 points a game, I think they're going to play at a pace that is fast enough to generate good looks, but not fast enough to be stupid. And there's a big difference. You can play fast and play smart, and you can play fast and play reckless. And there is point guards across the league, and I'll use modern day Russell Westbrook for an example, as a guy who likes to play fast. And if he sees something, it doesn't matter what else is happening on the court. He's going. And that has some benefits at times, but other times it can lead to some very frustrating offensive possessions. I think Donovan and Darius primarily are smart enough as ball handlers and game managers. And I say that not in a negative way like you can say about a quarterback. I mean that in a positive way as a guy who's going to have the ball in their hand as frequently as those two do. They can kind of pick and choose when to attack, when the numbers are there, when the seam is there. And if it's not, let's pull it back and set up offense, and we still have 18 seconds on the shot clock. And that's what frustrated me most about the JB Bickerstaff offensive philosophy last season. They would walk the ball to court. They'd run their primary action with 15 seconds on the shot clock. If it wasn't there, and a lot of times it wasn't, we'd be stuck with a high pick and roll with 5 seconds on the shot clock and a guy standing with his back foot on the logo. And more often than not, it's relatively an easy defensive possession for the opposing team. And the Cavs, no surprise, they struggled to score in the high 120s and 130s oftentimes because they just weren't generating enough good looks. And defenses, the later in the shot clock, the more intensity they play with. So long-winded way of saying they're going to play with pace, and I think they have the right guys to choose when to be as fast as possible and place like 7 seconds or less Suns, which has a direct tie to Kenny Atkinson, and when to push the pace, but also know it's not there. And that's what I'm most excited to see.
Okay, I think that's fair. I mean, a lot of these things that we routinely heard about in training camp from some of these interviews through, numerous Cavaliers media members. Shout out to Spencer Davies. Excellent coverage in regards to daily tidbits in regards to Kenny Atkinson and how he wants to operate offensively, defensively too. But one of the things that I have really honed in on this preseason in particular, it's actually 2 different things. It's the pace, right? Something I already mentioned. Through these last couple of preseason games, they're operating with the league's 3rd highest pace, and you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Obviously,
it's preseason; it is what it is, but it's still a number we could actually look at.
107.
Thinking about it.
Yes, 107. So that just speaks to the amount of possessions that are being the stark contrast in possessions that the Cavaliers are operating with now. And while I know that is not always going to lead to great singular possessions, but just having more cracks at it will end up getting guys more touches. And that is what we want to see from the likes of an Evan Mobley in particular, somebody who Kenny has said routinely now that he wants to get the ball in his hands more. One play that stuck out to me was 2 minutes into the game. The man set a DHO for Karis LeVert, immediately kicked back out to the perimeter and attempted a triple, which he made. It's little things like that. And it's also him receiving the ball in the half court, driving and kicking it out to an open Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, allowing them to have more off-ball opportunities. That's the shit right there that I am most excited about, because we know Darius Garland. I was in a chat with somebody earlier today. This dude is a lethal shooter. He just has not been given a lethal off-ball shooter. He has not been given the opportunity, not nearly enough, to just be able to shoot the ball, not always have to orchestrate the offense. And the same can be said for Donovan Mitchell. And I think Kenny would be one of the first people to tell you that he wants to get these guys more looks without the ball in their hands. And just the whole idea of getting Mobley more touches in that way specifically, and just allowing him to create for others, or him drawing more offensive gravity, that just has me giddy right now, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, I mean, Kenny's told me and he's told everyone at this point, the reason he was hired was his plan for Evan Mobley. Kobe Altman sat down with me at media day and I said, hey, Kobe, what do you like most about Kenny? And he goes, the way he wants to use Evan Mobley. Like, we hired him to get the most out of Evan Mobley. So that shouldn't come as a surprise. And the thing with Mobley is we've seen it at spurts throughout his first 3 seasons. Like, there have been little tiny spurts. The issue is on a night-to-night basis, you weren't getting the same consistency and, frankly, aggressiveness from Evan Mobley. And now we saw in the very first preseason game, what was the very first play they ran? Get the ball to Evan to let him take a shot. I used to run a drill in college, or we used to run a drill in college, where our best player's name was John Goldberg. He's now the director of basketball operations for the Clemson women's basketball team. So shout out to Goldberg. He was the most passive superstar of all time back. Did not want to shoot. Incredible rebounder, incredible defender, 6'5" and D3 with athleticism. Like, he should have scored 30 points a game. He scored 13 because he didn't want to shoot. We used to do drills where only Goldberg was allowed to shoot. No one else. We could all pass, but only Goldberg was allowed to shoot. And if he passed up a good look, he had to watch us run suicides. It was miserable because he didn't want to shoot and it put him in an uncomfortable situation. But guess what? For us to be good, and we were pretty damn good that year, Goldberg had to score 20 points a game. And I don't think it's going to go to that length for Kenny Atkinson to get Evan Mobley to be more of an aggressive factor in this offense. But you have to do what you got to do to make him become a focal point, even if it's not as a scorer, as a facilitator. So in the defense, when he gets the ball in his hands, you can't sag off and you can't crash in on the perimeter because A, he's a willing passer, and I still think that's his best offensive asset right now. B, you sag off, he can make a jump shot. He proved it at times last season as a three-point shooter. He doesn't really take a ton of mid-range, but if you're making threes, I could assume you can make a mid-range jumper. And if you're going to get up close, let him blow by you. Like, he's athletic enough, and I know he throws like Bambi out there every once in a while. But guess what? Bambi didn't fall every time she walked. Like, Bambi still is able to get from point A to point B. I'm going to take my chances with Evan Mobley going one-on-one on some of these slower-footed defenders when he has the opportunity. And even if he doesn't succeed in the regular season, at least let him try and build up the confidence to know, hey, when push comes to shove and the shot clock's running down and I have it with 4 seconds, 18 feet away from the bucket, I'm not in panic mode, get it out of my hands, hot potato. I go make a play. And building up Evan Mobley's confidence from the first game of the regular season on the 26th, whatever the last day of the regular season is, sometime in April, like, that is the goal of the regular season. You have to have Evan Mobley wherever he starts this month to wherever he ends in April. There has to be a natural progression, because if the Cavs are going to compete with the Bostons and the Knicks and the best teams in the East, Mac, it can't be Donovan Mitchell 1 and then a drop off to whoever 2, 3, and 4 is. It has to be Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley 1A and 1B, and then you can configure the rest of the rotation. But they need Evan Mobley to take that jump, and I don't think the Cavs can compete with the best teams in the league if Evan doesn't take that kind of leap this year.
I think Kenny Atkinson putting his faith in this core four signifies that he is waiting on that Evan Mobley leap. And under Kenny Atkinson, I don't want to sit here and expect anything, right? But I'm fucking expecting.
No. We can, because it's year 4. Listen, year 2 as a rookie, whatever. But sorry to cut you off.
No,
they brought in Kenny to unlock Evan. Like, they have told us from their words, not me speculating. Like, y'all can go listen to the one-on-one I had with Kenny and Kobe for Media Day. They both said the exact same thing. We put this staff together to unlock Evan. Like, there are expectations on that. Whether that's fair or not, that's for you to decide. But it is reasonable to expect a jump. And if he doesn't make it this year, then maybe we have to readjust our full ceiling expectations for Evan. But he is now surrounded in the best possible situation to flourish into the unicorn the Cavs thought they were drafting back in 2020, 2021, whenever that was.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying I don't want to expect anything. I'm sorry, Mac. I'm not. You have to expect it if you think this team's going to compete at the highest level. I'm sorry, you have to.
That's fair. See, that's fair. You're more brazen with it than I am, and I can appreciate that. I want to expect that leap. I just need to see.
I'm used to getting hurt too, so that's also fair. Like I'm
It's
used to
baked
expecting it and having be let down.
It's baked into the Cleveland DNA, right? So it's one of those things where we're all hoping to see that leap this year, and we know what that could mean to this Cavaliers team in regards to competing with the Bostons, with I was going to say Philly, but I don't even know what the hell Philly's going to be able to accomplish this year if their guys can't stay healthy.
I like
the
Milwaukee
East to
more
me.
than Philly.
Yeah, the East to me, like after Boston, who knows who the second seed is going to be? I know some people out there. I think John Hollinger the other day listed that he believes the Cavaliers will finish second in the East, and I think that's a very attainable thing. But we have to have certain things fall into place, namely that Evan Mobley leap. And under Atkinson, I'm really hoping that is going to be the case. I don't think like some of the changes that we're going to see, some of the things that we've seen in preseason so far, once the regular season hits against Toronto, I don't think we're going to see like a drastic change based upon where the Cavaliers finished at last season offensively. I think a lot of things are going to be gradual. We're going to see that all the talk that we've been hearing about players like Darius Garland getting up around like 9-10 triples attempted a game, and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and getting more off-ball looks. I think that we're going to see these things happen, but it's going to be a gradual process. It's the same thing that I think about when I think about Evan Mobley's three-point shot, right? He's averaging 2 attempts so far through preseason. I do not magically expect him to up that to 4 to 5 attempts per game like some fans believe. But if this man can get around 3 or 4 and shoot about 35 to, 37%, that to me is substantial progress. And I think that will begin drawing gravity. And then when this man does get more touches, he does get more opportunities to have the ball in his hands and make plays for others. You're going to see how impactful that is, especially come a postseason setting. Now, what I'm really curious about from you right now, just your thoughts on the back end of the rotation, because as of right now, at least what I would believe to be the rotation right now, I think it would have to include Karis LeVert. I think that's a no-brainer at this point. I think Isaac Okoro is penciled in there, and I think Ty Jerome is probably going to win that battle at backup point guard, but I don't know. I don't know just yet. Those are the 3 that I think are penciled in right now. It's those, and Dean Wade. I'll put Dean Wade in there too, because we've heard so much about how confident the team
Dean Wade's
is.
Going to play. Dean Wade's going to play.
He's got to, right? We don't have
enough
front
bigs.
players.
I would even say Niang's in there just by default because they don't have backup bigs. Like that's the one legitimate concern I have about this roster. I'm not 100% sure Okoro's penciled in there, Mac, by the way. I think he's more of a specialist, and they gave him a game-to-game deal. They clearly believe in him to some extent. Mm-hmm. We were talking on the Ultimate Cavs show last year, mid-season. Hey, Isaac Okoro is playing at a level that's going to get him $80 million in free agency, like a 5-year, $80 million Dylan Brooks kind of deal. And the way he played in the postseason again, you can't justify paying him that much money. And if Kenny Atkinson is truly adamant about this implementation of an offensive system that's going to shoot a lot of threes and run and play make, Sam Merrill and Okoro, it could be a game-by-game decision of who that backup wing is. Do you need more offense? Do you need more defense? I love the idea of using Okoro as a screener, which we saw a little bit from time to time here in the preseason, and maybe he slides into, in certain lineups, the backup 4 role just because of his offensive ability. He can't play center. He's too small, but
no, hell no.
Maybe you go with Dean Wade and Okoro as your backup bigs for a certain situation. I don't love that. Like, I don't love that, but maybe. Here's the thing I'll say with Kenny. They're going to play 11, 12 guys. Like, I truly, truly believe. He's always believed in depth. He did it back in Brooklyn. He's preached it every time we've talked to him. They brought back, is the right way to phrase it, everyone for a reason. And I think the regular season, at least the first 40, 50 games, it's going to be a runway, to figure out what the best playoff rotation is going to be and which guys mix and match better together and which guys can fill in and sub in with the starters and who can play alongside Donovan and Darius. And is there some innate chemistry that I'm making up a name here, but maybe Jaylon Tyson just plays great alongside those two and plays off them. And he plays a little better in that third role than Karis LeVert does or Strus or Okoro or whatever. Or maybe Dean Wade and Sam Merrill develop some sort of deadly pick and pop combination with the second unit, and then those two become a tandem. I'm not sure exactly what the back of the bench will look like yet, because I don't think Kenny has any idea. And I think in the first week, it may look very different than the second week, which may look very different than the third week, and may look very different than the third month. But until we get to mid-February, early March, I don't expect any consistency, which is going to drive me crazy, by the way. I'm going to complain about it, but I also understand the reasoning. It's one of those you got to take to get yin and yang situations. But I have a feeling we're going to be complaining a lot about the inconsistency and how they use certain guys in different situations, all as kind of a test tool and a setup for what is really going to matter, which is who are the 8, 9, maybe 10 guys you can trust in a playoff series.
That is probably the one thing that you can trust about the rotation, at least during the early portions of the season, is that it's probably going to be inconsistent as hell as Kenny is trying to shuffle through and see what works and what doesn't. I think there are specific players that are going to play, like Karras. Isaac, you think is a toss-up. I think that's a fair argument. Dean Wade has to play at this point, and I think the team really wants to see what they have in Ty Jerome. I'm still a huge believer in that dude.
I agree.
It's now or never whether or not he's going to be a part of the rotation or he's going to be moved as part of a trade near the deadline. But
can I ask you a question on that real quick?
Sure.
If I love Craig Porter Jr., by the way. It's my dude. If he can't shoot, I'm not sure he can play.
That is why I effectively have Ty Jerome. Like if I'm building a 10-man rotation right now, CPJ is not in it right now. And I hate to say that because I love Craig Porter Jr. and what he is like from the versatility that he brings to the table in terms of his rebounding. I think he's a pretty good rebounder considering his size. And we know he is not afraid to attack inside, but we just have not seen enough growth out of him from beyond the arc to justify playing him over Ty Jerome at this point. And the size, right? The size does play kind of a factor here because Ty at 6'5", 6'6", wherever you look, you have a little bit more versatility in regards to lineup combinations with him. So I'm that's where I'm at on him. One of the things that I'm really, really wanting to see this year in particular is just how much we get, how much development we get out of Jaylon Tyson. Right. Jaylon has given us some good moments this preseason so far, but I don't know if it's been enough to justify playing him at the beginning of the regular season. Talk to me a little bit about where you are at on Jaylon Tyson based upon what you have seen in the preseason.
It's hard to judge anything too significantly with preseason reps and summer league reps, but I like what I've seen. Like I was surprised at the pick in the moment. He wasn't a guy I thought was going to really be on their radar. And every time we've seen him play, you leave like, that dude has something. And you don't even know always what that something is. He just looks like a dude who can fit in. I like his size. Like I told you on the day after the draft or 2 days after the draft when we potted, I had a Western Conference assistant coach tell me that during workouts, he was the strongest guy they had in there at any point of the workouts, bigs, guards, wings, whatever. And that's something the Cavs, I think, desperately need. And if he could develop into even just a quasi decent wing defender for the regular season and a quasi decent standstill 3-point shooter, he's going to have a role. Like the Cavs don't have they have a bunch of 2-3s. They don't have any 3-4s. And Tyson's not a 4 by any means, but he's closer to that 3-4 mold than a Sam Merrill is.
Hey, when you see him out there grabbing rebounds the way he does, you can put him at the 4 in specific lineups.
So I do think he's going to get a chance to shine or chance to play. Shine is up to his performance, but he's going to get a chance to prove what he can or can't do pretty early on. And I'm not predicting him to win Rookie of the Year by any means. I'd be surprised if he plays enough minutes to really contend for an all-rookie team spot. I just think guys who play more minutes are going to be more qualified for that. But I do think there's a chance that when you look at the playoff teams, especially like the second round of the playoffs, like the last 8 teams remaining, he could be a guy who is one of the few rookies in an actual rotation spot if things pan out well because of the fit and the need for what his skill set delivers to this roster. They don't have many guys like him, which is an intriguing thing to kind of figure out how Kenny wants to use him in a winning situation while still developing a pretty young kid who has a pretty high ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at 20th overall picks over the last couple of seasons, or the last 10 seasons in particular, it's hit and miss with playtime, right? Cam Whitmore is a perfect example of a guy who came in and seized the opportunity, and he looked legit. And I think that you could You can maybe expect Jaylon Tyson to have same sort of impact, but when you're looking at a playoff setting, we all know that rookies, they're not always given favor over some veterans
Hit or
out.
miss. Yeah.
And last season there were only about 5 players, I believe, that played at least 15 minutes per game and made 4 playoff appearances last year. That was Chet Holmgren, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Derek Lively, Cason Wallace, and Ben Shepherd for Indiana last year. Those are the guys that actually got real rotation minutes, and some of that was due to injuries, right?
Yeah.
So it would be an unfair expectation for any of us to expect Jaylon to perform in the playoffs or even be given the chance to perform. But what is not crazy to expect is that Kenny Atkinson might give him a chance based upon the play that he has showcased so far and just how many good things we have heard from him. But I know you got to jump, man. I appreciate you for taking the time to come on in such short notice. Always good talk to you.
Of course, man. Hey, it can't come soon enough. What we got? Is it a week from tonight?
The 23rd, right? The 23rd.
Yeah, a week from was that opening day or is that the Cavs opening game?
That is Toronto. I think that's on the road.
So that's the 24th.
24th. Okay.
Yeah, opening night of the NBA season is the 23rd. The Cavs play the 24th.
Gotcha.
As their first game. And I'm excited, man.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun. And well, and with this, the Cavs won a lot of games the last couple of seasons, regular season games.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always the most fun games to watch, and you could win ugly, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what's a lot more fun than winning ugly? Winning pretty. And this Cavs team has an opportunity, Mac, to win games in a fashion that the defense may take a little step back, but the offense can take a giant step forward, and we're going to look like we're watching modern-day basketball again. That's no shot at JB Bickerstaff, but I think he's going to do a pretty good job in Detroit, by the way. I just think this has the potential to be a really fun team with similar vibes to when they made the play-in, where everything just kind of clicked and players fell into place. And it's just a joy to watch when you could tell those guys are having fun. And Darius talked about in his article with Chris Fedor, he lost his joy to play basketball, and now he's found it again. And vibes ain't everything. The vibes coming into the NFL season with the Browns were in the pisser, and they're 1-5 right now, and could be a dumpster fire if they lose this Sunday to the Bengals. The vibes from the Cavs right now are the complete opposite.
Hey, we
good
got
vibes
high
all around. So let's hope if the negative vibes led to the bad start to the season for the Browns, and the positive vibes are going to lead to really fun things for the Cavs this year, Matt.
Well said. Go Cavs.